Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, 4 Requirements for a Single Pane of Glass in IT Operations. I'm Jacob Lukowitz, Multimedia Editor at IT Ops Times. Before we get started, I have a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. First, this webinar will be recorded and available on demand through the sttimes.com website about 24 hours after the event. Secondly, if at any time you have questions about or during the presentation, you may submit them using the chat. In today's webinar, we'll cover how IT operations teams can get a consolidated view and why it's more important now than ever before. Joining us today are Srinivasan Subramanian, Director of Partner Solutions at OpsRamp, and Soumya Yadav, Solutions Architect at Tech Mahindra. Thank you for being here today, and we're looking forward to hearing your insight. So to start things off, I'll turn it over to you, Sri.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning, all. My name is Sri. I come with about a couple of decades in the IT service industry. Before joining OpsRamp, I was part of a couple of large MSPs holding different positions in the ITOM and the service delivery space. Had the opportunity to work on a lot of legacy tooling applications as well as the more modern SaaS-based ITOM solutions that are there in the industry today. I'll be your host today, and joining us is Soumya Pradeep Yadav. Hello, Soumya. How are you doing? Could
Hi,
you,
Sri.
great. Hi. Could you grace us with your introduction about your company and what you do in TechM?
Sure. Hi, I'm Soumya Pradeep Yadav. I'm currently working in Tech Mahindra as a pre-sales solution lead for Europe region. Our company is basically an SI, and we do system integration and post-integration support and delivery for major monitoring tools.
Thank you, Soumya. Once again, it's a pleasure having you with us today. And we are going to discuss on, one of the most industry sought out capabilities, a true single pane of glass. Soumya, why do you think this capability is being so much pursued, by the industry, especially the service providers?
I think a single pane of glass is nowadays a must-to-have requirement for all the IT industries because it's one of the key areas which everybody looks at. If you go to any industry, any company, they have multiple monitoring tools, and they are looking forward to have, instead of taking report from multiple tools and viewing dashboards in segregation, they are looking for a unified monitoring dashboard from where they can have a single view of their entire organization. So I think that's the reason everybody is looking out for this capability so relentlessly.
Absolutely, Soumya. One of the research and analysis points out that a single pane of glass, for an organization brings about 30% to 36% reduction in the IT per FTE, that is needed to support. It's definitely a must-have,
Right.
solution as such. But I go back, to my days and see, me sitting around with colleagues and discussing about how do you achieve single pane of glass effectively. And there were a lot of things that popped up. So why do you think it has been so elusive so far? We see this discussion with a lot of our partners coming up. Why do you think, it's been so elusive so far?
So I think the major reason for it is people have already done a massive investment rather on majority of the legacy tools, and that's one of the reason that they don't want to come out of it. Since they have already invested so much in that particular tool, so they want to take the most of it. And what they do is they try to get this, they are also looking for this capability, and what they try to do is with some means and some combination and multiple integration, they try to achieve this capability. However, whatever they do is almost they achieve almost about 50% of what the modern tools have out of the box. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I still remember, trying to work with some of the legacy tools, which comes with a lot of disparate solutions within itself. Integrating these solutions and bringing everything together, was a nightmare and a challenge for us. But how do you think, some of these challenges, could you highlight some of these challenges from your past, experience while attempting to do this?
So there is a one. I mean, the major challenge to achieve this is when you integrate multiple tools together. There's a storm of alerts, and the mistake what most of the people do is whenever they set up a monitoring tool, they enable almost all the metrics available, whether they need it or they don't need it. So then it becomes a massive alerts actually on the console, and it's not if we are not able to find out the right alert on which we should work. There's a lot of noise, not a lot of duplicate alerts, and that's the reason even after enabling monitoring we are missing on the key alerts, which is causing the business downtime. So that is the reason I think we need to have this capability along with AI ops, which our modern tools gives, which has a inbuilt machine learning and AI ops capability, which can do the groundwork for you. Find the use cases, which alerts can be correlated, which are the duplicate alerts. If there's a topology related alert, for example, a major router went down, so all the switches and servers connected to it will obviously go down. So all these kind of alerts can be popped up, and we can work on that.
Absolutely. I definitely echo, some of these challenges, that you just brought up, especially with the integration, and the flood of alerts, as such. Do you think, some of these, integrations, also did not give you the kind of 360-degree view that we are looking at? And it's quite interesting that you also mentioned about AI ops, as being one of the critical area which was not present in some of the tools, in the past, in the decades. How do you think, this wish list has been saying? I remember from my time a just simple dashboard giving a 360-degree, some of, consolidated view was good enough. But do you think that wish list is changing with your conversations with your enterprise customers?
Yes, that wish list is definitely changing, and now people don't think a particular module, and they don't look at earlier used to happen was they wanted a server monitoring tool, a network monitoring tool, and everything used to be segregated. There was no consolidated view. Different teams were working in silos, and there was no unified monitoring. But now every customer is looking for a unified monitoring tool. In fact, they are looking for a single tool which can do multiple things rather than keeping multiple tools for multiple operations. And I just recollect one of the use case which we had worked for one of the customer, where I myself have worked, and we have seen that there were lakhs of alert on the monitoring console, and obviously we, because of so many alerts, we were missing on the key alerts which were supposed to we were supposed to work upon, and we had to keep a dedicated monitoring team which was doing ion glass monitoring on these alerts, finding out the critical alerts, logging a ticket into the ticketing console. So what we did is we actually spent some dedicated time in sanitizing all those events, and we basically went back to the teams, went to the very basics, starting from the metrics, if the right metrics are enabled or not, are we doing over monitoring or under monitoring of the environment. So we understood with different domain experts whether the metrics which we have enabled is actually required, or do we need to do some sanitization over there also. So there were a lot of metrics which were not required in that particular use case, and we fine tuned the metric enablement also that way. And then we worked upon doing understanding how event correlation will work. We wrote some policies, did event correlation, found out what are the duplicate alerts, and did the noise reduction. So we had spent quite a lot of time doing this entire activity, finding out the exact use cases and fine tuning it. In fact, we also did a redefining of the severity of alerts, because everything cannot be critical, right? So we segregated it, only the alerts which are actually creating a business impact on to my service, only those alerts will come as critical, rest of the alerts as major warning. So we redefined the severity. And then we got I mean, we could actually lower the number of alerts from thousands and thousands of alerts to few hundreds. And then we could easily do a ticketing integration, ITOM to ITSM integration between the tools. And we could achieve the auto ticketing. And it was I mean, we can rely it on that much, that we could easily save our those FTs which we were using for doing the ion glass monitoring, because it was no more required there. So I think that case study gave us a lot of confidence. And what I see is the amount of efforts we spent on that activity. Now with the modern tools, you don't require those that many efforts also. I mean, yes, from metrics definitely we need, but plenty of the use cases, identifying which alerts could be correlated, and all those groundwork the tools can give you out of the box.
Absolutely, absolutely. I heard you mentioning about giving, segregating the alerts, based on the services. So something we have been hearing from our side, right? Service centric, AI
Hmm.
ops, 360-degree view, an impact view on how on the businesses, things like that, right? What used to be before, a bottom to top down approach, now we are hearing clients saying, hey, I want to look at, business impact, and then the
Exactly.
ability to drill down what technologies are impacting. Do you think these are reflecting conversations, and how important do you think these newer wish list and capabilities are for a single pane, achieving a single pane of glass, or incorporating in a single pane of glass, Sonia?
These are very important because we normally keep redundancy, like for a particular business service there will be number of your application servers, number of database servers. And even if one of the server goes down, your service is not down, your service is impaired. So when you create a business service, it gives a clear cut impact to the higher management, that if my this particular server goes down, I have 10 servers out of which one has gone down and I still have redundancy. So my service is still up. So that gives them a confidence about their service, and they know how much impact is it making to the business. So having that is a wish list of most of the customers, and is very much required.
Great, great. I think it's resonating with what conversations we are having. Like, a service-centric view that gives a business health, and then the ability to drill down from that, to the technologies impacting as such. We are also hearing conversations, during our conversations, that what they need, in the tools, that they want to achieve a single pane of glass. Do you think with the modern tools, especially some of the SaaS based, and the more, unified platforms, a platform based coming in, this vision of, single pane of glass is more achievable today, than what it was a few decades ago?
Yes, it's actually transforming the way we were doing the ITOM operations before, because earlier we used to implement, and in fact, implementing and managing the tools itself was a huge task. For every capability, we need to implement a different module, and then put an integration between the tools and do multiple integrations there to achieve that single pane of glass capability. However, now in the modern tools, it's very simple, because they give you a single console which can do everything, which can do your entire ITOM operations. And also they are using unified agent, which has become a wish list of the customer, as well as it goes very well, because you don't have to install multiple agents on a server for multiple functionalities. Now a single agent can give you everything, be it monitoring, be it patching, be it automation. So all those things come when it comes from a single agent. It's very beneficial for the company as well as the servers as also, because it's very less
Uh,
loaded.
Yeah, I know, absolutely agree, right? We get questions, in our interactions on the agent, the amount of the agent size, what we bring on the table and so on and so forth. What we are also hearing is, customers talk about API driven integrations, to which they feel is a much more better way of integrating than the old build an integration and then sustain it kind of a headache that was there in the past in API driven. And then more importantly, they're also looking for capabilities in the tools, that can auto monitor the integrations and recover these integrations, so that we don't find
That's
that we missed an alert because an integration was broken. Do you think these how important these are from a service provider perspective, Soumya?
These are very important, because if any of the integration fails, we are not able to see the entire leg of that monitoring. So keeping the integrations in place, having the API monitoring, and in fact having proper automation to, if something goes down, to automatically make it up, those restore those integrations, all those are the critical capabilities which the customer is looking, and it's very beneficial for the SIs like us.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. So, how do how is TechM, addressing this? Could you share some insights on how your company is trying to address this? What's your strategy globally, for this, achieving the single pane of glass and implementing it for your clients?
So what we are doing is, we understand the importance of single pane of glass for us, for the customers, and we ensure that in all our solutions, wherever there is a hybrid environment, single pane of glass solution should be there, and we don't go live with any of the project where single pane of glass is not there. So that's the level Techem is using. So none of our customers are there for which we are not using single pane of glass view. And all the new deals, we ensure that the solution goes with single pane of glass solution, so that, because it's good for the organization and its people as well. For us, managing their service becomes pretty easy when we have this single pane of glass view. We have auto ticketing, we don't have to do all those things manually, we don't have to keep someone for a dedicated ion glass monitoring, which used to happen earlier. You would remember there used to be knock rooms where large screens were there, multiple application
Yep.
consoles were there, and people were sitting and continuously monitoring the screen and then figuring out the critical alerts and logging tickets. It was very tedious and difficult task, and now it's not required at all. Everything can be automated. Your critical alerts can get assigned to your engineers and they can start working on it. So I think this
Yeah, no,
capability plays an important role. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I still remember from my old days where I used to sit in a command center, and feel like I'm sitting in a NASA console room looking at the different screens. But it was like crazy to look at all those screens. I definitely resonate the challenges what your teams would be, facing. So with your strategy in the recent times, can you quote, any example of any success story that you have done, and how the customer was able to realize the single pane of solution that Techem provided to them? Any recent examples that you could quote and share?
So recently there had been multiple requirements around, uh, for single pane of glass. But we have identified that customer was actually having multiple tools in the environment which can, and through that it which had the capability of single pane of glass, and it was not getting utilized better. What people do is they just enable monitoring and then leave it. There is no maintenance of it. And the very important thing which I feel is, getting a single pane of glass is one thing, but you also need to put your time and energy to identify which alerts to correlate, what all policies should be there. And then it's a continuous process. It's not like one time we did it and then it's over. It's not like that. It has to be continuously maintained. And we need to regularly do this. So for few of our customers, we had enabled single pane of glass and have achieved almost 80% reduction in their events, and which was huge.
Wow.
And customer was pretty happy with the, and it was not like we are not monitoring their environment properly and that's the reason of reduction. No, definitely it was not the case. We had implemented it rightly with the right set of correlation and intelligence, and that is how we have achieved it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm pretty sure, with 80% reduction, your clients would have been like pretty, wowed about, the achievement as such. I'm pretty sure. It's also interesting that, you were mentioning about correlation and, many of the modern tools, they talk about AIOps, ML, in the contextualization and correlation. Do you think that AIOps, the application of AIOps and ML, machine learning capabilities at the event management layer is helping in the contextualization and bringing out the single pane of glass? Has it made it easier, with AIOps and ML?
It has become much easier, because I was mentioning about a use case where we did it for a customer and it took us almost 6 months to do it in the legacy way, where we were finding out the alerts, finding out which alerts can be correlated to each other, how which all alerts are duplicates. So all this groundwork takes lot of time and lot of energy of yours to do entire all those analysis and things, take out dumps and go through each and every alert, understand where it and all, how it should get integrated, create policies for it. Now with the modern tools, it's available. I mean, from the AI ops and ML capability, they do the entire groundwork for you, and they ask you if you want to create a policy or not. So now you just have to decide, yes, I want to create a correlation policy for this, or no, it's not required. But this entire analysis piece, which was taking very much time, is now not required. This all entire thing is now automated. So it becomes very easy to get the results from the single pane of glass capability, which earlier used to take time. Now it's pretty straightforward. Within a period of, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks, we can see great results.
Great, great. So one of the reason why, people wanted single pane of glass, was, 360-degree view, right? I still remember from those days that, they also wanted some nice dashboards, at the CIO level or the director level, that they could view, right? One is the event console that you are talking about, which the actual operations teams leverage, use for the day-to-day, day in a life, of their operations. The other is, the ability for these tools to bring about, the strong dashboards that gives overall health and 360-degree view. How do you think with these modern tools, these, more dynamic dashboards coming, and how do you think, these dashboards are redefining your, view, or your, your clients, senior execs, in your client organization's perspective about this 360-degree and single pane of glass view?
So, what the modern tools are doing now is, at the back end, they have the entire data from multiple sources, and they run the analytics, AI ops, and machine learning on that data. Create a business service map, because they discover your entire environment, find out which device and which services connected to each other, and create a topology map for you. They create the business service map also based on the analytics which they get out of the events. So now it's very simple, and now you get this entire 360-degree view of the organization. And if you remember earlier, it was like everybody wanted a different dashboard. If I go to the IT ops
Yep.
team, their requirement was different. They wanted a different dashboard focusing more on which server went down, which service is down, so that their engineers can work. However, if we go to the CIO, CXO level people, their requirement was entirely different. They didn't want exactly which server goes down. It doesn't matter to them. What matters is what is the business impact. In fact, now customers are also asking for bringing the dollar value on the dashboard itself, something like
Mm-hmm.
FinOps, that if my
Yep.
service goes down, what is the approximate loss I'm getting? What is the profit I'm gaining out of this? So everything is now measured into dollars, and their wish list is not just to see a service centric view, or just like a service map, which used to be their wish list earlier. Now they have also added that you give me the financial impact also, and it should come on the dashboard very
Mm-hmm.
clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely recollect those days, right? It was also nightmare to create multiple dashboards and, much more messier to actually sustain them, right? It was very difficult, broken dashboards, things like that. I'm pretty sure from what I'm hearing from you, the modern tools have made the dashboarding, capability much more easier and stronger,
And now
as such,
it's
right?
more of drag and drop. And if you see now, the dashboards are not like where you need a specific person to be skilled on it, and only those people, those group of people can make the dashboards. Now it's pretty straightforward, where you yourself can create a dashboard as per your requirement, with the easy drag and drop option. So that is something is very nice in the recent modern tools, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, I agree. More widget driven, it's easier to navigate through the dashboards. You can have global dashboards created, replicated. Yeah, it's not just making it absolutely good, but it's also fun and easier to manage. I think the dashboards in the modern tools as such, right? One question I wanted to ask you, especially from a service provider point of view, right? I am pretty sure Techem has rendered shared services, or they have common teams. One of the biggest challenge, was that the coverage of the technology in those days, right? Tools, some tools lack a capability to cover some of the technologies. With the technology digitization happening, technology band expanding to include public cloud, private clouds, the edge computing, things like that. Do you think the modern tools that cover a lot of these length and breadth is being much more important? Customers want to even look at the edge computing, the cloud in a consolidated view. Do you think the coverage of the technologies is also playing an important aspect in being able to achieve the single pane of glass?
Yes, I think you have made a very valid point here, because now in the customer requirement is not limited to only on-prem infrastructure. Everybody has started moving to cloud. The nature of infrastructure has also changed now. Instead of having VMs and bare metal servers, now everybody is having Kubernetes. uh, you know your Kubernetes clusters are there, Dockers are there, and all these stuff has to be monitored. Your containers are there. So bringing everything under one umbrella was a challenge. When this technology changed, it became a challenge for us to bring everything under one umbrella, because all these things were available in the cloud. However, and there was a different monitoring tool for it, and the on-prem infra is monitored from a different tool with a different dashboard. Now, combining these two was becoming very tiresome for us to integrate these two worlds together. But however, now in the recent tools, in the modern tools, and everybody have started adopting it, that now they give a single view, and they have a capability to discover your hybrid infrastructure, I would say, which is your on-prem plus your cloud infrastructure, and all the modules which you use in your cloud as well as on-prem shows in a single view. You don't have to go to different dashboards and find out which application. I mean, there is applications for which some part of servers are on prem, some part of servers are on cloud, and not only on one cloud. There are applications running on multiple clouds, and making a combination or a combinational dashboard out of it becomes difficult with the legacy tools. However, it's pretty simple with the modern tools.
Great insight. Hey, Soumya, one question. So many of the service providers have, run shared services units, right? Organizations. And in our conversations, what we have felt is the single pane of glass view, vision or the wish list is a little different for these shared services team, right? Where they have multiple customers, being monitored, and they want a view, ability to view a consolidated view for each of the client, but at the same time they also want a consolidated view of all the customers, right? So what we have been hearing is, a strong multi-tenant based solution, is the key to it. What do you think, is this, is this true that you need a strong multi-tenant to support, these visions of the shared services?
Yes, definitely. We need a strong multi-tenant tool for it, because what happens in shared services, there are multiple customers, and which has to be segregated tenant-wise. So if for them, every tenant has a different requirement, different dashboards. But the team who is managing the shared service, their requirement is different. They want to see if all their tenants are also working properly or not. So they need a overall vision of all the tenants, whereas the tenants individually want to see about their environment. So a tool having a good multi-tenant capability really works well here.
Thank you, Soumya. As part of the closing comments, would you like to share, to our audiences, what are the three things to avoid, and what are the three things that you should do while attempting to implement a successful single pane of glass?
Okay, so let me start with what you should avoid. So, you should basically avoid monitoring all the metrics. You should spend some time judiciously in deciding which all metrics to be enabled for your particular organization. What is going on in other organizations might not be a good fit for you. So I would strongly recommend to spend some time and find out which metrics are required for your organization and enable them. Have some control over there, and also, I mean, don't just rely on the AI ops and machine learning. It's not a magic. It's not like plug and play. Ki you have bought a AI ops tool, and automatically it will reduce your alerts and do all the noise reduction. So as I told earlier, it can do the groundwork, and it can give you suggestions, but you will yourself have to spend some time in finding out if that use case is correct, and you have to approve it. So at least that much effort you still have to do. So that that is, I think, that I would say. And avoid doing multiple integrations, because multiple integrations can also be your point of failure. So wherever possible, try to use a single tool which can do multiple things for you, rather than using it in silos and integrating it all together. Now, coming to what you should do is uh, exact opposite of what you should not do. So one is you should actually go for unified tools, which will help you in reducing your number of integrations. And you should spend, this is very important in selecting the proper metrics and enabling the proper policies. That is a key to get us a true single pane of glass. And very importantly, don't forget, this is not a one time activity. We have to do this continuously to keep the hygiene of our monitoring console good. Otherwise, it will again start getting messy. and we don't want to fall into that situation, right? So it's a continuous effort. Normally we failed in understanding this, and we think it's a one time activity. We spend time and then forget about it, and slowly it again starts getting messed up. So spend some time, it's very critical for your organization to keep the single pane of glass functionality. If this is healthy, you can see everything and you can trust on that data. What I have faced earlier is people used to doubt a lot if this is a correct thing. Even if the alert came, if it's a false alert, if it's a false positive or a true alert, so that should not happen. Whatever alerts are coming, if we do the single pane of glass capability properly and we time to time check, we can blindly trust on that functionality, and that becomes our single source of truth for the organization.
Thank you, Somia. Thank you for your insights, and it was definitely delightful having you with us today. A big thank you for our audiences. And to summarize, what Somia had been sharing for a successful single pane of glass, a more unified platform, should be looked at, that reduces the number of integration points, more API driven integrations that has a self monitoring and recovery capability. So you don't need to worry about integrations breaking down. The application of AI and ML, at the right and appropriate modules and functionalities like event layer, to make the contextualization, more accurate and reliable as such. And definitely a very specific need of the service providers, and also large enterprises that run IT as a service is multi-tenancy, that can bring about scalability, and segmentations of views in a much more easier and contextualized way. Once again, a big thank you, to our audiences who joined today, and I'm pretty sure many of the questions had an answer, from the session. OpsRamp is a SaaS-based modern solution offering discovery to automation in a unified platform. And if you are looking for a solution to bring the single pane of glass to reality, you know where to reach us. Have a wonderful day, and thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shri and Somia, for the great presentation. And thanks to everyone who joined us today. As a reminder, the recording of today's presentation will be available in around 24 hours. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.